Not many things splits a room like politics, and that's certainly true with the EU referendum. The decision which could see Britain leave the political union, that is the EU, seems to be very close, with polls showing the Remain and Leave camp to be pretty level. I'm voting out, everyone in my family is voting out, well, apart from my sister. But that's because every middle-class white girl in England seems to be a massive hippie. And for some reason hippies really love the EU. I mean, honestly, being a millennial who's somewhat creative, I have a lot of creative millennial friends. And 90% of creative millennials are the fucking biggest liberal hippies you're likely to come across. So here's the typical pro-EU supporter I know. They're in their 20s, study a pointless degree, so let's say he's a photographer. Bushy beard, tattoos, the works. He's a hipster basically. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want you lot to know the type of people I have regular contact with and who are the ones debating me about this topic. And these are some of the more stupid arguments I've heard from them. The EU is safe. Yeah, I mean, come on. The EU and the Euro is perfectly safe. Isn't that right, Greece? Ooh. Yeah, let's move on. We'll lose our allies. What, you think the French are going to invade as soon as we leave? We have NATO. We've got our allies. Don't worry about it. It'll be harder to travel round Europe. I'm sorry, I'm not accepting this as a decent argument. So you'll have to apply for a visa when you go backpacking in Croatia. Get a fucking job besides teaching guitar and save up more money to pay for it. No one's going to trade with us. Are you mental? What, you think Germany will say fuck it and not want to sell us their cars? And I've been accused for thinking that the UK is a bigger deal than it is. It's a fucking huge deal. It's the 5th biggest economy in the world, and our culture is felt across the entire planet. Apart from maybe North Korea, though. I reckon Kim Jong-il is quite partial to a bit of Ed Sheeran. I mean, every fat pussy seems to be for some reason. I've had this brought up quite a lot. Our migrant agreement with France will break and they will let all the people in Calais in. A, that's bullshit because the agreement we signed with France was outside the EU. And B, even if that were true, fuck you France, you sour cunts. And C, what makes you think I believe immigration is the biggest issue? I didn't even hint at it. You're the ones who brought it up. I mean, being part of the Leave camp, people just assume my issues, my main issues with the EU. And now that's not to say I don't believe immigration is a big issue, because it is. But to me, the referendum, I think there's something a bit more important behind it, as I don't believe the EU should have any definitive say in our own legislations, but I'll be getting more into that later. And now looking at the mainstream, you have people like Cameron threatening old age pensioners, and other politicians spouting a bunch of obvious fear-mongering. They offer very little in why we should actually stay, but focus more on hypotheticals should we vote to leave. Oh, but if we vote to leave, this could happen, and that there might happen, and this, oh my god, this definitely has a 100% chance of maybe happening. Even if these maybes and possiblies and ifs and buts do happen, I'd much rather us stumble and find our feet than stay in the EU. Oh, and Christ, so many short videos I see my mates sharing on Facebook, like this.
Boris Johnson says we always get bossed around by Brussels because we keep getting outvoted. Since 1999, we've been on the losing side 56 times in the EU's Council. What Boris doesn't say is how many times we've been on the winning side. Do you know how often that is? 56 times? 560? We've been on the winning side 2,466 times. 2,466 to 56. That's a good score in any sport. Next time you hear how Brussels bosses us around, you know what to do.
Bloody hell. 2,466 to 56? What are we even complaining about? Wait, hang on. What does it even mean? We've won 2,466 and lost 56 doesn't make any sense. Won what? Lost what? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's voting on EU legislations which covers areas such as energy, economic governance, immigration, environment, business, etc. in all member countries. So the point is, despite the number of laws we've been in favour for, there have been 56 laws which we've been against, yet imposed upon us regardless. And our government doesn't have the power to stop it. Which is funny because in 1975 it was promised that the EU wouldn't be able to impose any law upon us which we didn't want and that our government could veto it. In my opinion, it's not right that a foreign political union has any decision on our domestic laws, let alone force us to adopt legislations we don't even want. I mean, foreign unions aren't elected by the local people, meaning they don't have to answer to the people. So who do they answer to? If the people can't remove you, then there's no real negative consequences should they hurt them, as long as they achieve their objectives. This just breeds the ends justify the means reasoning, and we already have enough of that mentality with the Conservative Party, bloody privatising everything just to make a short-term profit. But at least we can elect them out and bring a different government in. The real point I'm making is, don't make up your mind based on a 40-second video which is stripped of any detail and presents nothing that will make you think. That's why I really try not to look at both the official Leave and Remain sites, because when you're studying stripped down information backing up a point you already believe in, all you're basically doing is stroking your own dick. Or, having Nigel or David Cameron stroke it for you. And then I see this being shared. An art installation by German photographer Wolfgang Tillmans of different pro-EU posters, and this one particularly caught my eye. It's kind of a message to people leaning towards Leave. If people like Rupert Murdoch, Nigel Farage, George Galloway, Nick Griffin and Marine Le Pen want Britain to leave the EU, where does that put you? Fuck. Where does that put me? I guess the point he's making is, I'm a fucking racist. But wait, Remainers, Hitler and Stalin had facial hair. Where does that put you? Neo-Nazi skinheads like tattoos. Where does that put you? Child sex offenders also enjoy taking certain type of pictures. Where does that put you? You fucking genocide-loving Nazi paedophile prick. I mean, the guilt by association tactic is a pretty desperate attempt that shows you don't possess a real argument. Do people really fall for this trick? You know who also believes that 2 + 2 = 4? Fucking ISIS, you cunt! Where does that put you? I think this sums up the attitude of a lot of Remainers who haven't really looked into the arguments of the opposition. They're just judging it based on the aesthetics. Like tapioca pudding. It looks like a bowl of cum mixed with mouth ulcers. But once you get past the looks, it's fucking gorgeous. Come on, Remainers. Give Farage and Bojo a taste. You might like it. So yes, I'm going to be voting out. I doubt my silly little video has changed anyone's mind to join me. It's just a bit of fun. I wanted to get it off my chest. So how about you? Are you in? Are you out? Am I talking shit? Let me know below. And because I'm, as they would say in Happy Days, a swell guy, I'll leave links and descriptions to videos with real arguments for both Remain and Leave, just so you can have a bit of a last minute looky-looing. Hashtag Brexit, hashtag votes Leave, hashtag tapioca pudding.